Am I the asshole? For yelling at my niece after she laughed at my disabled child's voice. I 34F have a son, Lucas 12M. I had a challenging pregnancy with many complications and Lucas was born with several disabilities and medical conditions. Some of his conditions affect his voice slurs and he stutters sometimes. He is very insecure about this as it means people don't take him seriously, even though he is a very bright kid. This Friday evening there was a family gathering at my mother's house. My sister 35F and my niece Sarah 15F were both there. This is the first time Lucas had seen each other in a few years and he was excited to see her again. When she arrived, Lucas came over and said hello to her. The whole time she had this strange look on her face like she was holding back laughter, and I could tell Lucas was uncomfortable. This would happen every time he spoke. She would snigger a little and try to hide it or cover her mouth to hide it. Lucas looked super embarrassed and I was getting angry. Eventually he said he wasn't feeling well and my husband drove him home. My husband texted me telling me Lucas had started crying when he got in as he was super upset after his cousin's laughter. I asked Sarah if she wanted to explain what Lucas had been saying that she found so funny. She went red and didn't answer. My sister said Sarah was just a kid and I couldn't expect her to respond any differently. I told my sister she needed to teach her kid not to be such an ignorant brat. Sarah got angry and said she wasn't a brat. I snapped and told her to shut up and stop acting like one. Sarah and my sister ended up leaving and my parents said I took it too far. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Your sister and your niece both need to learn some manners. 15 is too old for the just a kid excuse. Of course you should expect that your high school-aged niece will be respectful to her cousin and to you while attending a family gathering. Hopefully this was an effective learning experience for your niece since she's clearly not getting lessons in manners from her mother. I hope your son will be okay. Not the asshole. Your niece isn't a kid anymore, she's old enough to know better. If you live in the USA, the next year she could take the driver's license. She was just a bully to your son, and you did the right thing by pointing it out. Sarah turned red, so she knows she did something wrong. Give your son an extra hug from this internet granny and offer him a bowl of ice cream from me. Not the asshole. At 15 a person who finds disabilities funny is just an asshole and they likely got that way because their parents are also assholes. She thinks it's funny because she's seen her parents laugh at similar things. You were right to defend your child and attempt to teach your niece some manners. If I were you, I wouldn't allow your niece or her parents around Lucas again and I would go extremely low contact with them myself. Never stop showing Lucas that he deserves respect like everyone else and that his parents will always advocate for and defend him. Not the asshole. Sis didn't think her asshole kid couldn't be expected to respond any differently. Did she seriously say that? I could only respond to that statement with why? Did you raise her to be an ignorant shit? I would seriously be tempted to get Sarah diapers and a pacifier for Christmas, as that would be age appropriate. Not the asshole. 15 is old enough to know better. My daughter has a stammer and it really affects her confidence when she's having an especially tough day with it. It's horrible watching people react badly to it like that. Strangers is bad enough but there's no excuse for family. Your sister should have prepped your niece and your niece should have kept her spiteful feelings to herself. It sounds like she was doing it on purpose to make him feel uncomfortable. Not the asshole. It doesn't matter as she's just a kid. Kids still know it is wrong to be cruel to someone over something they can't control. She doesn't get to be offended after laughing at a disabled person for having the audacity to talk to her. Not the asshole. She's 15 and old enough to understand what she's doing. Also, if she isn't pulled up on it, how will she ever learn it's not okay? She's just a kid, she doesn't know any better. This is why parents need to teach their kids better. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. By the age of 15, your niece should absolutely know how to be respectful to people regardless of anything different about them, even more so because there is someone who is disabled in their family. Sarah's actions were very hurtful, and she needs to apologize to Lucas and actually spend some time with him to understand exactly why what she did was wrong. Nata. Your niece is 15, not 5. This was a teaching moment for your niece, and you sister failed to parent. Yeah, teenagers are going through a more selfish phase as their brains adapt, so when they end up doing something mean like that, it's a parent, teacher's, guardian's job to help them become a better person. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Sarah is, as is her mother. You were much nicer than I would have been. Not the asshole. Truth hurts sometimes. She ain't a kid anymore and it's just not okay. And I couldn't expect her to respond any differently. Your sister feels the same way as her daughter. Not the asshole. 15 years old and capable of holding down a part-time job. If she was working a service industry job, would she have behaved like that to a customer? If so, she would be fired. Teenagers are capable of knowing right from wrong. She also has a poor role model for a mother. I wish all the best to your son. Not the asshole. Why didn't you leave with your son and hobby? Why didn't you challenge her fuckwittery in front of your son so he could see you advocating for him instead of pretending it wasn't happening? ESH. Be a better fucking mother. Not the asshole. But you realize that this ends this relationship. Not the asshole. At 15 Sarah should know better. Sarah and her mother are massive R's. Sarah's not just a kid, she's a rude teenager and needs to be confronted and punished for that kind of behavior. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. 15-year-old is about the asshole age too, so it happens once. It's also the time where it has to be driven home just how not okay and over every line this is. As someone with a stammer, not the asshole, and I'm sorry your kid is having to go through that. It sucks. My sister and brother learned at 4 and 6 respectively not to take the piss out of someone for a speech impediment. 15 can just fuck off. 1 in 100 adults stammer, and that's not even counting the variety of other speech differences out there. Your niece needs to learn now before she gets a slap from someone who's had enough of being asked whether they've forgotten their name. Not the asshole. But I'd suggest instead of using the word brat, use the word bully. Call the behavior what it is. Bullying. Not the asshole. You showed your son that it is not acceptable to laugh at him for his speech impediment, and you will call out anyone, including family, for bullying ableism. I hope your sister reflects, apologizes, explains to her daughter why it is wrong to laugh at someone for a disability, and arranges for her daughter to apologize to your son. Not the asshole. 15 is very much old enough to know better than to be cruel. And you know she knows because she blushed and got flustered when you called her on it. Your sister needs to step up as a parent